On our last episode, we looked at a number of the provisioning activities required for our summer trip. In this episode, we're going to look a little more in depth on boat servicing and a number of boat repairs that had to be done before we could go on our trip. Alright, well, we're prepping up for the big trip here, so we just finished bringing down a whole load of provisions. One of the things is we have this little camp stove here, and nothing special, just a typical stove, but we find having a little cooktop outside is a really handy thing, especially if you're cooking seafood or anything that really can smell up the cabin or whatever. So right over here there was a little box and it was mounted over here. You may have seen it in previous videos. And it also sort of flips up along this stanchion here. Originally we weren't sure about it, but we really gotten to like it, where it's just so handy to have. And the only trouble is over the last, probably the last year or so, but mainly the last month or so, the wooden box that it's in has kind of disintegrated. So I've got to do that at home. I was kind of thinking about doing that this morning, but I think I'll probably do it either this evening or tomorrow. Try and get that back down here. And the other thing that happened is I was just testing the anchor windlass there just when we were down here last time, and it was sticking on. I thought it had been getting a little bit sticky in the last little while, and I had thought it was one of these switches right here that was kind of becoming faulty and starting to stick. But once I had actually put in the new one, it was sticking again. But even worse, it actually stuck and just kept running, and I had to actually go turn off the lockout to kill the power to it. Now, even when it has been a little inconsistent, it's got deck switches down on the front deck, and those have operated well, no problems there. So that tells me the windlass and the wiring is good, except for those relays. Probably the contacts are starting to get burnt and fused together from the heat and the amount of power going through them. So I've got a couple relays. I got to replace those just to make sure that we're good there. And so I think that's going to be this morning's task, is to get those relays changed out. Go over the way we do an oil change on Makena Kai. Clicking this switch to on, we should see some bubbles come out, and then oil should fill up. Oh no, that's the oil. So the oil is coming out now. Many boats, including ours, have beige carpet interior. Avoiding carrying a bucket full of dirty oil through the boat and avoiding spillage on the carpet, that's a really big advantage of doing it by this method. That looks like air bubbles. Better go turn off the pump. All right, we'll turn off that one, turn on that one, and let's evacuate the oil from engine number 2. And in fact, let's do something a little different. Let's take our phone here, and we will actually count how long it takes to extract the oil from the other engine. There we go. Starting the pump now. There we go, starting to pump. All right, the oil's coming out pretty quick. See it right there. Where are we at? We are at 44 seconds. 51 now. Yeah, it's coming out nice and quick. So much cleaner way to do it. There is a bit of investment involved when you have to get this set up. You have to buy, all the plumbing fittings. They do have setups that are all together. I chose to pick a specific pump that has a gear pump rather than you shouldn't have to replace the impellers like a number of these types of pumps. And then it's a handful of valves and fittings. Not too hard to put together, pretty logical. Every time you do an oil change, you save hours, literally. And it's kind of a no drip solution, because we're just gonna take this hose, we're gonna drop it into a bucket of new oil, and we're gonna point the direction the other way on the pump, and then we'll just fill each one with pretty well the identical amount of oil, or actually not identical, but the exact amount of oil it takes to fill, and then we'll confirm it. So the only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't make it any easier to change the filters, and they're still kind of a messy ordeal, just as oil filters generally are. Certainly speeds up the process, and every time you do an oil change, it gives you the payoff. So where are we at now? We are at 2 minutes 24 seconds, and we are still filling the bucket. Well, let's see if I was exaggerating on my time. It probably is pretty close to 5 minutes though, I think. We're at 2:40 now. I think we are pretty close. Yeah, it has emptied it, and no, it looks like I wasn't exaggerating too much after all. We're just short of 4 minutes now, and all the oil has been pulled out from the other engine. So, you know, you're talking about sub 8 minutes for both engines to remove all the oil from the two main Hino 6 cylinders that are in this boat. All right, time to start transferring the oil back in. We'll hit the switch now. And that will start pulling the oil back down from here, down into the engine. And with the amount of drop, because it's not full, I should be measuring from the front of the bucket here about 8 inches down. When it hits 8 inches from the surface of the oil to the top of the bucket, the oil pan should have the exact amount of oil it requires. So that's what I have to watch for at this point. Going down pretty quick. It actually goes down, of course, a lot quicker because it's kind of pumping downhill, right? So anyway, we're at about 5 inches, so another 3-inch drop and we should be good. All right, looks like we are at the mark. So we'll transfer the valve to the other side and we'll pump the rest into the other engine, or it should be pretty close to the rest of it. The only piece you have to actually wipe off is the hose that dipped in the bucket. Yeah, one little piece of paper towel, a little bit of clean oil on it, and that is all there is. It's a really good way to change the oil. Now I'm going to go and crawl around in this terribly cramped engine compartment and change the oil filters. Little did I know when I was changing these relays that I would encounter major problems with these again on our big trip. One thing I can say is that these relays are just kind of inexpensive relays bought off eBay or Amazon, and although they are rated for 200 amps, which should be more than enough, the quality of it is very low, and I did get a number of ones that were continually defective in one way or another. I would recommend using you know, like a Ford starter relay if you want something inexpensive, or just get a proper control box for your windlass. Okay, I think that's it. Let's see how it works. We got it all disassembled. Not as bad as we like to think it is. Usually the thought of doing it is much worse than the actual job, and that's the case with this as well. They can be nasty, I suppose, but this one wasn't too bad. This head has been in service for about 5 years, so this is, I guess, to be expected from a 5-year run. Yeah, I'll finish cleaning up the bowl. And I'm going to put a new set of hinges and stuff like that because they seem to get a little rusty and stuff like that. And so I got a new hinge kit I'm going to put on the seat and lid. And I think the rest of it's okay. I'm pretty sure just the pump impeller was wore out and it was just due for its service. So we will find out. I'm going to start putting it back together soon. here we are. We're at the fuel dock and we are getting our fuel for our trip. So yeah, we're down to about half a tank, half on both tanks. So we're just gonna top them up, probably about 200 liters a side, maybe a little more. And yeah, then a week from now we are leaving for our summer cruise to Desolation Sound. So between that and some dinghy gas, we should be all set here. Alright, we're just on a little cruise here. We just got fuel and yeah, we just wanted to take a little cruise. I've done oil changes and fuel filter changes and changed oil and transmissions and you know, all the maintenance items, especially before the big summer trip. Anytime you do that, kind of nice to take the boat out for a run, get everything up to temperature so you can do a good close inspection afterwards. So yeah, we're just doing a little cruise along the Sidney Waterfront. And I think we're going to head back to the marina now, have lunch, and continue with the provisioning. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode and seeing how we prep the boat and the number of activities that take place. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and thank you so much for watching.